We are live, or so it says, and I've already started without figuring out where I put my drink. There it is. Hello, hello. Well, I'm right under the big bright light. Right under the big bright light. How is everyone doing today? You'll excuse me for just 1 second. I have this thing on upside down, using my phone, so I'll be ready to hopefully not vomit. Okay, we flipped around. Just gonna readjust this a bit. John McCann says hello, hello. Great, welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me. So we have a couple people waving. Chirpy's Tinkerings, Tenaciously TV, Josh Graham, hello. And John McCann. Had to refresh, no problem. Good to see you. I don't know why I did this. It's not like I was in the military. I was not. How's everyone doing? Good evening, good day, sir. Today, I would like to talk a bit about how I want to organize this. So I've said before, and I'll say it again, videos will be returning and they're going to be setting up this place. I want to make that a video series, how I'm setting the place up. But I have decided, thanks to several of you suggesting it, I've decided I'm going to do French cleats for at least some of it. Obviously, I'm not going to line the whole place in French cleats, but I'm going to do a lot of French cleats. So I would like to hear some suggestions. I'm also going to tell you, I'm going to point around to what I'm thinking. I have a 3D model of this garage already, and I have not like super detailed, but like detailed enough that I can plan where I'm going to set things. And I've decided where I want to put at least some French cleat stuff. Somebody made the new place look exactly like the old place. That's right. Well, this place is much larger, but I don't have anywhere to store stuff like up on the walls. So it's just in piles all over the floor, which is how my last place was, because I had all the upper shelves, well, not tons of them, but some upper shelves, and they were completely full as well. So we're going to build a lot more of those. And then I also have the attic, which is, you can't see, but I'm opening the door right now. Here's the cord. There's the cord to pull the attic door. I got probably like 800 square foot of attic space. Has the same van and plants. That's right. Same van, same plants. So there's one. There's a couple. I was going to put those out like 2 days ago because it was like really warm. I'm like, wait a second. It's barely March. Like winter is not done yet. It's going to come and bite us. But yeah, French cleats. So every time I talked about thinking about how I want to do this, someone, at least one person says, French cleats. So I looked it up and they look pretty cool. My last garage had pegboard, and I had pegboard in there because when I moved in, there was pegboard in there. This garage has one sheet of pegboard over there. These people freaking love pegboard. There's pegboard all over inside the house too. And I don't want pegboard because I don't like pegboard. I realized eventually that the most like effective way of mounting things onto the pegboard was actually just to screw stuff straight into it. And at that point, it's not pegboard. It might as well just be like a worse sheet of plywood, because it's always like that particle board stuff that falls apart. So why even bother? But I saw a French cleat video, one of like many that I watched, where a guy like put them up and then just like grabbed it and did like a pull up. Like, well, if he can do a pull up, then it can handle any of my garbage. Because it's not like I'm sticking like heavy stuff. Oh, you can't even see. It's not like I'm going to hang this thing on a pegboard or on a French cleat. You know, that's staying on the ground. Actually, you're just staring into a light bulb. That's not good. No matter how big your garage is, you'll never have enough room. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I ran the numbers on the 3D models, and it's not quite, but it's very nearly double the square footage of my old place. And if you were to go by cubic foot, it's much more than that, because my old place, I figured out this is a 9-foot ceiling. My old garage had a 9-foot ceiling here along the door. And then like here, it started angling down by the back wall, like the back wall part that I actually did anything in. That was only like 7'8" or something. Like if I like did this and stretch, I could like touch the ceiling. There was no room in that garage, no headroom. This, I have 9 foot all the way around, a little more than 9 foot, but I call it 9 foot. I did that for the model. I modeled it to 9 feet. If you're doing several French cleats and a column, start at the top so you don't end up with drywall dust in the grooves. Interesting you said that, because one video I saw, the guy said, always start at the bottom and work your way up. And I said, no, I'm going to start at the top because I'm basing everything off of the very top cleat. Actually, I should just jump straight into it. 36 by 56 pole barn is full. We have a couple of 20 by 50 storage units that are completely full. So I know all about that. Here, let me just, how do I flip this around? So there, that wall right there, these are empty boxes that I haven't thrown out yet. These are the ones that aren't wrecked. I'm going to be filling them. I might be filling them with stuff to take either up in the attic or over to the storage for long-term storage. Any boxes that were at all screwed up, I just recycled. But those are the ones that aren't screwed up, and only the ones from wherever. But anyway, this wall from that corner, whoop, all the way to that corner is a little over 40 feet. So I want to do pegboard along that wall. Of course, I have a door here. I have a window there, and I have this garage door here thing there. So my idea is that's 9 feet, little over, but close enough. I'll start with a top cleat 2 feet below that. So that'll be an extra deep cleat. And that'll allow me to put a big, strong shelf in there that'll stick out maybe 1.5 feet. So I'll have 1.5 feet. And actually, we'll have to stop at that window probably, and then it can't go that way. So that to the back is probably like 30 feet, a little more. I was also considering maybe doing it along this shelf, at least the cleat along the top to have a big shelf sticking out, because it won't get in the way of that. And it won't get in the way of headroom working on this, because there's like 5 or 6 feet in front of that, between that and the wall. And hopefully a lot of this stuff is going to be gone. My daughter didn't like this. She had this in her last room when we got here, and she's like, I don't want it. Like, what am I going to do with it? Probably storage. Who knows? And there's my tripod, which is actually a light tripod for a light that I bought that I haven't used yet. There's the pegboard that's in here. Now, I don't think I'm going to put cleats on that wall. That might be like a stuff on the floor wall or a workspace kind of wall, because that's where the power box is. We can go take a look at that, actually. Unplug my phone, walk back here. There's a crib we don't want either. Power box, when we moved in, the guy said it's a 110 power box. Well, it's not a 110 power box, it's a 240 power box. And now I have this nice breaker. Isn't that nice? There's nothing wired up to it, it's just a breaker. Screw some cleats to the back of the box shelf. Yeah, well, that would probably work, except that shelf is too flimsy, and it's probably just gonna, like, as soon as you put any weight in it, it's just gonna fall apart. I think it's all particle board. But yeah, so that's the pegboard. I don't like pegboards. I want that out of there. Obviously, all this stuff will not be here. Those two shelves, those don't belong in here. The ladder, that doesn't, well, I'll probably use it because I'll have the shelf way up there. I don't think I'll put a shelf way up here. Also, there's all these conduits. I just kind of don't want to get in the way. And I don't want to have the place like ringed with shelves. French cleat the ceiling. There you go. Man, those are bright lights. Just hang stuff. But if I put a shelf 2 feet down from the top, sticking out about 1.5 feet, then I'll be able to climb up a ladder and reach to the end just fine. And if there's anything sitting on the edge of the shelf, that's at the limit of my comfortable reach up and grab height. I measured with a ruler. There are these van parts just everywhere. It's crazy. I'm gonna have to get rid of these. Get metal pegboard and get those baskets. Metal pegboard would probably be a lot better. Because here's what I got on this side of the garage. This is where my wife's gonna park her car once I don't have it full of more boxes and this insanely heavy plant that lost all its leaves when I'm moving. They have these things stuck in here, which are kind of neat. They're heavy duty. They're almost 2 feet deep. They're a bit the limit of like, do I really want to reach to the end? So I don't want these over on the other side, but they'll be good for like hanging stuff. But I gotta get rid of the bottom one. I did end up bringing the drawing fridge from the other garage. It still works. It survived the trip, but I'm going to move it somewhere else. So I'll be able to also join the side of it. And, have to fill up more empty space here. I got to remove these 2 lower shelves because, like, when my wife brings her car in here, the doors are going to hit that. Like, that's no good. And most of this stuff isn't even going to be in here. It's just, I just threw it on there because I needed somewhere to put it for now. And it will be nice to be able to get to this side of the thing. How the crap am I going to hide these 10-foot sheets? That's a giant sheet of aluminum. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Oh, well, that's unrelated to French cleats, but it is somewhat related to garage organization. Obviously, you should store your ironing board on the front of your unfinished project. Very clearly. And these giant kilns, I still don't know what to do. But I'm thinking, figure out the shelving situation. Right? Get the shelving situation figured out and get a lot of this stuff out of here into storage that is in like long-term storage. By out of here, I mean on the shelves in the attic or maybe at the shed. And then see what I have left on the ground, figure out where to put it. Man, those bulbs do help. The lighting for filming, big improvement. Yeah, yeah, no kidding. I just got those at Menards. They're like, I think I have the box here, one of the boxes somewhere. Maybe. They're insane. They're like 12,000 lumens or something. I'm not gonna find the box. I got them at Menards. They were like 28 bucks or something. 100 watt, 125 watt LEDs or something. I do have a brighter light. It's actually in the van. So it's a 400 watt metal halide that's 39,000 lumens, but that's one single point of light. And that's terrible for filming because there's just harsh shadows everywhere. Kind of like me standing at the wrong place, slightly in front of this thing, this light here. Let me rotate. Is that better? Oh no, I'm just staring at the camera. No, I don't want to stare at a light bulb. Hang on. Give the aluminum sheet to you. No, they're very expensive. They're probably more expensive now because prices on all of them have gone up. At least you'll never have a vampire problem. That's right. Vampire comes in here. Hey, I don't have that silver sword. I gave that to the people who like brought the silver. It was their sword. I should have made another one of those. Just a little one, like on a channel off to the side. So if any vampire comes in, I could just stab them. If you're going to get rid of any wire shelves, let me know. I might buy them from you. Okay, will do. I'm in southern Wisconsin. If you want to drive here, you can just have them. Well, I'm probably not going to get rid of them. Actually, what I'm probably just going to do is move them up. A 2x3 aluminum sheet costs about 75 bucks. That was a 4x10, and it's 61 thousandths, something like 62 thousandths. It's relatively thick. Appleton, that's not far. I went to college in Appleton. I think we may have talked about that. Went to Lawrence. Good times. Actually, really good times. That was a great place. Silver's werewolf. I don't have my mythical creatures and defense tactics ironed out. Clearly, I'm lacking that knowledge. I haven't experienced many werewolf or vampire attacks, so I guess that's a good thing. Appleton, man, I drove through Appleton a few months ago. I tried calling someone I knew who still lived in Appleton, got his voicemail, decided not to leave a voicemail, and I left. Kind of wish I had like tried harder. Maybe gone to see him. He was cool. I'm pretty sure he still lives in Appleton. Yes, it has used to recycle my brass shavings, but the prices now take it to the scrap yard. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I still have a lot of scrap around here. The only thing I'm probably not going to do anymore is melt down dryer motors. The aluminum shells on the dryer motors, I'm not going to do. I have so much of that aluminum just laying around, and I'm not. I don't know. I have so many dryer motors laying around. They take up a lot of space. They're a pain to cut up, and I already have a lot of the aluminum, and the aluminum's not that good. I think it's A380, which is a die casting aluminum. It's not that good for sand casting. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not like wheels, like car wheels. Way better metal. And I have a set of 17-inch aluminum wheels that I don't like, that I have no reason to use. There were 17-inch cast aluminum wheels that were aluminum wheels best. See, 356. That's what I got. I have a set of them. They're 17-inch. They had snow tires on them, so I use them as the wheels for the snow tires for my wife's car. And now her car, you can't fit 17-inch wheels over the brakes. The smallest we could get over the brakes was an 18-inch. So I have a set of 18-inch with snow tires on them. I can still fit the 17s over the brakes on my RX-8, but like I'm not driving that in the winter, and I'm not really driving that at all, to be totally honest. I have like 7 bags of flattened aluminum cans I have to melt up. Interesting. Practical Renaissance, hello. I haven't seen you in a while. How's it going? I did not know Paul was your middle name. My middle name is not Paul. Be careful with aluminum cans. They're not very good metal. You'll have a lot of loss to oxidation, to dross, and a lot of fire and nasty smells from the liners. It's a terrible thing. I did use some of the aluminum. The aluminum from the cans is relatively pure, although not entirely. So the top part of boxes fell over. The top part of the can, I think, has some magnesium or manganese in it, so it's a slightly different alloy. But I mean, it dilutes out. I think I used some of that for when I did the aluminum bronze alloys. Or that might have been from extrusions. Extrusions are also relatively pure. Pretty bad for casting. But I didn't want to use cast aluminum to make the alloy for silicon or for aluminum bronze. because it has silicon in it, and that kind of makes it more like silicon bronze, which is a different alloy, which I was saving for later. What's scrap price for cans now? Pretty much nothing here. My state doesn't do the 5 cent return thing. There's like a can return thing that I saw, I think in a town called Milton. They had like one of them big can kiosks that you can feed your cans into. No one ever uses it. I don't know why you would. So how's it going? Practical Renaissance and Fasted 58. Hello. And Nice Kaniza. I don't know how to pronounce that. My bad. So is anyone here in the chat someone who suggested French cleats before? And if so, do you have any suggestions? Have any experience yourself or something you've learned? Because I've seen videos about them locking or not locking, and I don't think I'm going to bother with the locking. You have 10-cent can return in Oregon. Interesting. I think we had 5 cents when I was living in Boston. I don't know about when I was living in New York. And I never once returned a can. Now, and that's when I drank a lot of soda. Now I drink none. I find if I wash them, flatten them on the anvil, have a starter pool, they don't lose nearly as much. That's a good point. Yeah, that is, if you can plunge it into the aluminum, into the molten aluminum before they melt, you don't get as much oxidation because there's no oxygen in the air touching them because there's no air touching them. You ever thought of making a sand muller? Yes, I have considered it. I have not looked into it at all, not even a little bit. David Myers, hello. Good to see people. A lot of these things, like a sand muller, would be pretty useful. The thing is, I don't know where I'm going to put it. Like the reason I'm going to start right off the bat with the French cleats and the shelves, the top shelves, is so I can get a lot of this stuff up off the ground. Like if I show you, I can probably show you here. Flip around. Those boxes. Okay, wait. Not those. Bad example. These ones, maybe? Some of these bins. I just have boxes and bins of junk everywhere. I have way too much stuff. Some of these, none of those. Okay, forget I said it. Forget I said it. Some of those in those kinds of bins are separated by like what's in them. So I have one bin. Oh, I should have just looked straight down. There's one down here. I'm not going to show you. Clear bin, black plastic top. On the thing will be a strip of duct tape, and it'll say what's in it, like electrical stuff. So that's where all like the wire fasteners, like the wire nuts and the crimp connectors, and the extra like 240 volt, like 30 amp dryer cords, and like all the electric stuff in one box, all the spray paint stuff in one box. I'm kind of going to keep that up. I don't have to split it up because like the electrical box is full and the paint box is full. But that's the kind of thing I'm going to use on the big tall shelf on the top. So I'll have like, separated into boxes, organized, clear ones that I can see. So if you watch a lot of Mythbusters, you'll notice, or like the stuff that happened after Mythbusters, Adam Savage talks about first order retrievability, but Jamie Heinemann's shop had a wall of clear bins with stuff written on them and what's inside. So I'm taking that and sticking it on the top shelf, basically, is my idea. Below that top shelf will be the tool wall, where everything will be easy to grab. That's where the first order retrievability comes in, although I might modify it a little bit. Someone said like even Adam Savage doesn't have first order retrievability of everything. And I apologize if this thing is shaking, but I'm trying to like scroll down in the chat because people are talking and it won't let me scroll down. Gave up soda a few years ago, lost 30 pounds since then. I lost 60, but I didn't just give up soda. I lost a lot of stuff. I lost a lot of crummy food out of my diet, lost 60 pounds. So if you go and watch my very first video, please don't. I'm like really big. And I don't think I was 60 pounds heavier then than I am now. Probably more like 50 pounds because I lost 60, then I bounced back up 10. Definitely bounced up during the move because I stopped exercising and I also kind of got off my diet a bit because when we moved in here, we're like, we don't have any food. It's like we didn't like stock up on food because we were going to move. We didn't want it to go bad. And a lot of our food froze on the way over because it was like super cold. I'm like, screw it, order pizza. I don't care. So it's like you got people helping you move. You order pizza. That's the rules, right? You give everyone pizza. Cut off the sharp edge of the French cleat and make them fit tighter. Thank you. I did see that suggestion. And I do plan on doing that. I also plan, I've seen people using pine, like just straight up pine, or plywood. I'm going to use plywood because I like the opposite grain thing. Because even if the grain's going straight across, that little thing, like that angle thing going out, you could probably just break that right off because there's no like opposite direction grain to hold it tight. Because like, well, I'm probably not going to, I'm probably going to try to find decent plywood. Here's another thing I'm going to do in this garage. I want to make it start to finish not look absolutely hideous. So I actually want to plan before like I start, and I'm attempting to plan before I start. Similar, aluminum shavings from CNC must compress and force under aluminum. Yes. Also have argon on top. That would be great. That would help if I could like fill my thing with like a gas, like any of these, just straight argon. I got an argon tank right here. I can touch it. That might be the argon tank. It's one of them. I don't have that set up, but my furnace just has like a tornado of air going around in it, and I really doubt I could like keep an argon atmosphere in the crucible when there's a literal tornado of fire going around it and up over the top. Mostly replace soda with whiskey. Not sure that would be. I replace soda with black coffee, about half a gallon of it a day. My doctor's like, okay, great with the no soda, but maybe that's too much caffeine. Probably not a good idea. And then I replace that with tea, usually green tea. This is not green tea because it's nighttime and I need to sleep, so cutting out the caffeine. And I had a whole bunch of caffeine earlier today for other reasons. I placed Insul on top, like on top of the crucible. On top of the crucible or the furnace? Like obviously not the furnace. Just a teaspoon worth, wrapping paper so it hits the melt. Yeah, there you go. Do tea in the mornings. Tea is a very nice morning drink. I enjoy tea. I gotta get some of these boxes out of here too. On top of the crucible, makes sense. So do you like have like a pipe where you like constantly inject argon into there? Because I gotta leave the crucible open because I'm throwing stuff in the top of it the whole time. You know, maybe I'm just going to break all these boxes down. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Good plan. Have you ever like purged, like stuck the thing down into the aluminum and like bubbled the argon up through it? So I think people do that with nitrogen to like, as like a degassing without tablets. So these are all things I can try. I mean, obviously I can't put the furnace up on a French cleat because that's so heavy. I don't even want to pick it up. I didn't actually pick it up moving here. It's on wheels, if you remember. So I just wheeled it up the ramp into the truck and wheeled it back down in the garage. And we got the truck far enough up the driveway that the ramp went into the garage. Nitrogen both degassing for aluminum. Slowest stainless steel pipe and fish pumice block on bottom. Interesting. So like a diffuser kind of. That is interesting. Let's go for a bubbler. Yeah. Okay, so like a bubbler. Interesting. So I'm going to walk over here, back wall. I'm going to go into the far back corner. We're going to spin around, put my back on the back wall, and we can see exactly how far away this thing goes. So like I said, that wall there is it's a little over 40 feet, and that one's actually 2 feet further. That one bumps out. So this wall, I'm not really thinking of doing anything too crazy on the wall. That's probably going to go. I don't like that. That can't move. That's going to go to storage because I'm not keeping a Ford truck grill over here when the Ford truck is over there, and it's probably not going to need the grill for several years. I have power along this wall only, sort of. I mean, there's one. And I have another power kind of over there. Here's a weird thing. Those power things, they're on the GFI. They go into that box. Good. Heater, you can see the conduit goes into that box. Good. That outlet, all of these light outlets, they're not here. They go downstairs. The power box in the basement, which I've learned is a 200 amp service box. These conduits here, which come out of that box on the wall, so through this wall, through that wall, there's a hot tub. You know, hey, hot tub. That does not power the hot tub. That also goes from downstairs. These are actually just wall outlets. That one's in that room. That one's outside. So that goes outside, and you're supposed to plug in. It's attached to that thing, that switch, which says pond on it because there's a little pond in the back. But all the pond stuff is right there. This is just an outlet. So right now, like nothing in here is being powered by that box because I have that turned off. So the heater's turned off. That box doesn't do anything. It's completely not used unless I use those outlets or unless I have the pond plugged in, which I might fill in. I don't know. I don't really want a pond. I do not have a 240 volt outlet, but I have this breaker. So I have a 50 amp 240 volt breaker. Nothing is plugged into it. So the breaker's turned off. And when I figure out where I'm going to put everything, none of this is going to be here. Maybe the compressor will live against this wall. Then I'll like run the conduit and make the plug because that runs on 220. But I have a 50 amp breaker. The box is more than 50 amp. It's run with 4 gauge wiring. It looks like so 4 gauge wiring. The box says 100 amp box, but I looked at the paperwork and the guy who lives here only paid for 60 amp service. So I don't know how that works, but it's at least 60 amp service. This probably takes 15 amps or 20 maybe. I don't know. Not a lot. That takes 25 or so. That takes 45. That's the biggest thing I got. The welders take a lot less. And obviously the welders are on wheels, the air compressor's on wheels. So I can just move those around. Build a shelf for the compressor at about head height. I've seen a lot of compressors mounted like up high. So my brother owns a car shop, a car sales shop, a dealership, whatever they're called. You know what they're called. And in the back shop, he's got like all the lines of car lifts, which is really envious. I really envy that. He's got big compressors like up on a loft, like way up there. And I don't think I could ever lift that thing up at all without completely dying. So it's probably just going to live on the floor. I mean, and just looking at it, isn't that like, that's a comically large compressor pump for that tiny little tank, isn't it? Am I wrong there? That's just ridiculously big. It's awesome. It's a big motor too, but ridiculously huge 2-stage pump for a tiny tank. And that tiny tank is 30 gallons. So it's not like a dinky tank. Like, pretty crazy. I still like this. One of the coolest looking tools I think I'll ever own in my life. That is pretty cool. So tour over. And another cool tool I got. Check this out. Montgomery Ward. Still works, kinda. It'll keep up okay even with tiny tank. It does keep up okay. I've never once run it low on air. So this is pretty sketchy looking, right? But really, the only sketchy thing about this is the blade wobbles a lot because I think this thing is shot. And also this trigger doesn't always work. You got to do like this a bunch of times so it like makes connection, and then you can saw. Perfect though, right? So I'm going to make some stuff out of these. This is just some wood I found in the corner when we moved in. I'm saving that for when the videos start though. Your chest freezer is a Montgomery Ward. Yeah, well there's a lot of that stuff still around. Please throw that away. The Montgomery Ward, that heirloom circular saw. Did you make the spear? Yes. You saw the spear. Hang on, I got it. This thing. This is an aluminum bronze spear. I made a video a while ago, so I hammered. It's a 3D print of a bronze spearhead from a museum, and then I printed it. This was the riser at the end, the filler or whatever, the feeder, because it was cast standing up. I did not end up sawing this down because it made like a meaty looking handle. And then I hammered the edge thin and sharpened it, and I've been using it to open boxes, to cut open boxes, It still works pretty well. It's also very heavy. I mean, knives aren't usually heavy, but like aluminum bronze is a little denser than steel. And look at that just meaty pole of solid, hideous aluminum. It did not oxidize in a cool way like bronze or copper does. But that's okay. Spray some OD cleaner on the trigger of the saw. Might fix the issue. Yeah, it might. Or it might get one where the blade doesn't wobble like this when I'm trying to saw with it, because that's also a little scary. Like, I think I got that from my dad. My dad gave that to me, and he probably got it used from Montgomery Ward's in the 70s because he used to work there. And he would just like, if someone returned something because it didn't work, they would like try to cobble it back together and he would just take it. He would buy it. Don't mention New Zealand. Okay, I won't mention New Zealand except for those two things. Bad bearing. I think it's got a bad everything. It's probably a bad everything. Because the whole thing is pretty screwed up. But I really don't want to buy a new one because I really don't want to use one at all. I have an uncle. He's missing this part of his middle finger. They cut it right off and sawed it back on. And he doesn't have this knuckle anymore. So if he makes a fist like that because he can't bend that knuckle. And that's kind of the reason I don't want power tools, because I tend to be kind of careless when I'm working, like you've probably seen, right? I don't super take caution to what I'm doing. I'm just like throwing stuff everywhere and woo woo. And I really don't want to saw through my fingers.
Before I join, do you know the book
Hold on.
called My First Space Encyclopedia?
No idea.
Because he's crying about it right now.
I don't know where it is.
He's like, it's downstairs.
We're missing a book. We'll look on the bookshelf or something.
I looked at the bookshelf. He says it's on the shelf. I looked around. I didn't see it.
Oh, I don't know then. See, I'm just flailing around. See, he says waving a spear around. Exactly. I'm using this to point. If you remember when I had Andrew Barth here on just to interview, he's the guy who got me into Project Egress. To interview him, I stuck my pin mic on this and stuck this in his face the whole time. He thought it was fine. I prefer a table saw. I have access to a table saw. Do you already mention the French cleats missed the earlier part of the stream? Yes, I did. If you have more to add, I will take it. I'm just going to give you a quick tour. So this wall is about 40 feet, little over 40 feet. And I want to do the whole thing in French cleats. The top one is going to be extra thick. It's going to be 2 feet down from the wall, and it'll have a shelf. Everything below that will be for normal wall, right against the wall storage of French cleat kind of stuff. The shelf will not continue all the way to that wall because that gets in the way. I also might have some there, I'm thinking, because that's like a 20-foot wall. So I might have some up there. And it's not going to stick out far enough to get in the way of the attic. It's scary in the attic. Also dangerous if you don't have kickback protection. I'm pretty sure it does. At least it has that reeving blade and has the thing. It has the fence with those little fingers, those little plastic fingers. I think I found them. And those hold it up against the thing. And don't stand behind the table saw is what I've learned. It's just a tiny, it's like a DeWalt job site saw, the little one. It's this big. It's not a huge one. It's like that, and it's on wheels. That one's barely used. It's not like my glorious Montgomery Ward's Soviet era stuff. Hang on, I gotta raise this up again. This is not a phone mount, or a camera mount. It is a light mount. I think I've seen more accidents with table saws than any other shop tool. So my plan there is to not get my fingers anywhere near the blade. Have enough clamps to hold everything up? Probably. I don't know where they are though. I needed some spring clamps lately, and I'm like, oh, I have 60 of these things. Easy. I couldn't find two. I found one. They're all in a box somewhere, and a lot of my garage stuff is not in the garage right now. It's still at the storage unit because we needed clothing more. And we have a guest. After I just raised the tripod. We can find you something to stand on.
Yeah, find me something to stand on.
Here. Stack of leftover plywood discs. There we go. Perfect. Didn't Adam Savage say that any tool you can't find is useless? That's right. He is dead on the money there. The thing is, we are not moved in fully yet. So when I get all my boxes here, how's the belly? It's large and ready to pop.
Why, you want to see the belly?
Do you want to show them the belly? I'll do a profile view of the belly. It's pretty big. It is everyone keeps telling her you're going to have the baby now. She's like, the due date's not for a month.
No, it's like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay, very soon. That's why we got like all the baby stuff here. We don't have all the garage stuff here. There's probably 10 or more garage boxes
So
still
he
over
has
there.
an excuse for now.
Yeah, for now. It's not gonna.
Very uncomfortable. How true. It is
Yes.
uncomfortable, yes.
It looks uncomfortable. Where did I put my drink? I was flailing this around, then I was flailing a spear around, and they were angry at me
Oh, yeah?
for not being safe. You know, I bought a bunch of books on woodworking, and they all have hand tools. They're all hand tool woodworking, and I don't think I want to break away from that too much. Even though I've had access to a table saw and the circular saw and a skill saw and a bunch of power saws, I don't think I've used a single one ever in a video. Like I have used them. I haven't ever used them in a video, in part because it's a pain to set them up, but also because it's kind of fun to like see how little tools can I use to make a job. But cutting all these French cleats, I'm definitely using the table saw. Like I'm going and getting the table saw, and I'm cutting them up with the circular saw and the table saw, and I don't care if I feel like I'm cheating, because
Just don't cut off your finger.
that's like several full sheets of plywood worth of cleats, and I'm not hand sawing all that. Hand tools rock. You get a better feel for what you're doing. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I won't be picking up heavy boxes.
Yeah, no heavy boxes for her.
Just push them around.
Just push and tell me to do it. It could be worse. Could be August. Yeah.
Glad it's not August.
Be very, very careful with the table saw. You know,
Yeah.
my uncle who cut his finger off was not on a table saw. He cut his finger off on a router table. Not sure how he pulled that off. But he was sawing, he was feeding things. He couldn't sleep. It was like 2 a.m, so he decided,
It's that.
I'll go and
Sleep deprivation.
I can't sleep. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I'm gonna use some power tools. So he's using power tools, and he didn't want to get splinters in his fingers. So he's wearing gloves, and the splinter grabbed the glove, pulled it right into the router,
Ouch.
right off with a finger.
So he wasn't being careless. It was an accident.
He was definitely being okay. Sawing when you're exhausted, using power saws in the middle of the night, and wearing gloves. That seems kind of careless. But now we can give people the middle finger like really firmly because it's a solid finger. He's really good at that.
Is that the finger that he had a surgeon friend attached
Yeah.
when he was awake for?
So he could watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any chance of baby with red hair? Probably not recessive gene. It would have to be.
It would be cool.
It would be cool, but I doubt it. She keeps saying, "Oh, I wish our kids had lighter hair."
Because I've seen I've seen a couple where the mom's Korean and the dad's like white, but the dad has like red head and like red beard, and all of their kids who are half Korean all have red head. Like they have 3
I wouldn't
sons
count-
or
My
so.
head's not that red. You know, that's not that red.
I know, but I was kind of hoping maybe
This
this
is
one.
more red.
I'm more hoping maybe this one would have a lighter hair color.
Yeah.
Because first 2 have dark brown hair.
I have a cousin that cut his
brown
finger
eyes.
off with the table saw. Ouch.
Ugh.
Disc
Ugh.
sander, yeah, that all seems like if you brush your finger against it, just like takes right down to the bone. See,
thought they
I
had
don't have a
safeguards,
relative, but I know a guy who circular sawed like right like this. So we got this finger, most of this, and the tip of his pinky. Right off. Circular saw. So I'm going to be a little careful around that circular saw.
Your fingers. For
That's
your work.
about this close to self-destructing every time I turn it on because it just shakes so much.
That thing?
Yeah, that thing.
Oh.
It works. Kinda. It's when you get complacent that accidents happen. Yep. Had to run with a bench grinder. No fun. That doesn't sound fun. Are you EST? No, we are CST.
Is it CST?
C something T. Whatever time
Central
it is.
time.
Central time.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Yeah, I probably should. It's shiny. It might look cool hanging on the wall. That's why the bulk of this stuff is probably going to be with the table saw.
I didn't even know you had a circular saw.
Yeah,
Is that yours?
I've had it for years. Yeah. Yeah, my dad gave it to me.
Oh, okay.
So he wasn't using it. For your wife and baby's sake. Yeah, I might have to. CST best time zone. That's right. Yeah, I think, but like, why buy a circular saw that's new and good to use for this one job? Probably won't use it again. When I can go to the shed and get the table saw that's not old, that's not wore out, that's actually relatively new, and just use that. You need to finish lathe, make the new arbor for the blade that doesn't wobble. There you go. Just finish the lathe, and then I can modify this probably not very well built circular saw to begin with. Surely playing with fire is more dangerous. You would think so. Like all the fire that I did, I've never once started a fire with any of that. I started a fire with a welder.
Well, you've told me it was so hot.
Yeah,
yourself.
I've burned my face from radiant heat from the thing, but I've never actually started a fire. Cut my thumb off on planer than the dog ate it. Nice. That's not good. That is not good. Combo circular saw and concrete vibrator for your description. Yeah, it definitely shakes. It doesn't shake too bad. It shakes kind of on startup, and then if you see the blade doesn't track like dead straight. The blade has a bit of a wobble, and I've heard a lot of cheaper tools do that. Like even like chop saws and everything will do that, the cheaper ones. And it causes the blade kerf to be a little bit too big, and that can cause issues. Lit your shirt on fire with an angle grinder once. I can see that happening. If your shirt's remotely flammable, or if anything's remotely flammable, it will start on fire.
I remember in high school, I was walking by a construction site, and I saw some guys, like, probably using like a saw to cut off like a metal bar or something. So there's like a lot of sparks flying. And the guy was just wearing a shirt with like a face guard, but then the spark caught his shirt on fire. So his chest went on fire.
Yeah.
And it shocked me because I was walking by when that happened. And then he like tried to like quickly take off his shirt. And it was really shocking.
Yikes.
For a while.
Yikes. Rite of passage with angle grinder. Yep. Rite of passage, start on fire. I saw there's one meme, like a welder meme, that shows like the guy with the hood, and he's like focusing on the thing he's welding, and right behind him's like a 6-foot fire, like a huge thing up burning. It says underneath, there is such a thing as too much focus. He's like 6 inches away from a giant burning inferno.
Presumably caught by the sparks or something.
And isn't there like, I think there's a shirt or something sold, was it sold by Barbie the Welder, the channel or something? It just says, yes, I know I'm on fire, let me finish welding. Yeah, my only like actual blister burns in here and actual fires have been because of a welder.
Yeah, that one. Did you say that one time spark flew into your ear?
Yeah, I was like head down, like focusing on like with the mask only goes like here, and like a spark went up and right down into the ear canal.
Ouch!
Immediately stopped welding. I had another one. I wasn't wearing the apron, and I was just wearing like really really thin, like they weren't even canvas shorts, and like went right through the middle of the shorts.
Ouch.
Ouch. That was painful. I did not expect I was going to be that warm that day. But it happened. Evolution circular saw is $80 at Menards. $30 metal blade, cut steel like butter. Interesting. Don't have a welder yet, but it's on my list. I have a couple. I have an Eastwood MIG welder, MIG 175, and an AHP Alpha TIG 200X. They both work pretty well. I like them. I think there's another cheapo Chinese welder on the market called Yes Welder. I have never tried it. They sent me an email they're like, we'll send you a welder and you can try it and review it on your channel. Just keep the welder. And I'm like, I don't need another welder, and I really don't know how to weld, so I can't give a fair comparison. But I've heard from people that they suck. So I'm glad I didn't take it, because like I've already got a couple of Chinese welders here that work mostly.
You've gotten second-degree sunburn.
Sunburn from welding in shorts. Yikes.
Ouch.
I got a sunburn just on the bottom half of my left bicep. The worst welding sunburn I got. So I was wearing a t-shirt and like the gloves. And like the way my right arm was, I wasn't getting any burn. I was wearing the mask, so I wasn't getting any burn. But just the bottom part of my left bicep. So I had this like tan line, pasty white, dark lobster red. It's the weirdest, like that is the weirdest sunburn. They're horrible. The Yes Welders, they're horrible. Yeah, I heard they suck. Worst accident, press a button on the screen of a key cutting kiosk, had skin right off the knuckle. Ouch. Yikes. Doesn't seem like a good sign. Yeah, like the aggressive advertising. I always get suspicious of like aggressive advertising. Eastwood is an aggressive advertiser, but the only reason I have a couple of their tools is because I knew people who had them already and said, yeah, they work. They're not great. They're not like, it's not going to beat like a Miller or a Hobart welder, but it's also 1/10 the price of a Miller and a Hobart welder. And one of my friends had, or not friend, a dude I knew on the internet had an Eastwood welder that like went up in smoke, just completely fried, and they just gave him a new one, like straight up, just okay. Well, it's under warranty. Here's a brand new one. Like okay, well if it dies, at least they'll give me a new one. Eastwood has at least been around for a while, yeah. So they've been around, and honestly, I haven't bought an Eastwood tool yet that didn't work, so at least it works. Maybe weird thing to say, I like to see you do sponsor stuff like that, even if you don't exactly know what you're doing. Yeah, I don't know how much sponsor stuff I'd get. Like the Yes Welder one was the only one that made any sense at all. Because like I get emails all the time, but they never make sense because they're probably just bots.
It'd be interesting to see you do sponsor something that you don't know much about, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had to review a welder, I would probably say I don't know how to weld. I can stick things together, but you shouldn't listen to me for welding advice.
You should do like
but this machine works, or this machine doesn't work, and if it works for my level of incompetence, it's probably not a terrible machine, right?
You should do something really like stupid simple, like just welding two pieces of metal together.
Yeah.
Like, oh look, it works.
Hey, it works. I mean, really. So if you're like a professional welder, you're not looking at any of these tools. You're looking at a good machine. If you're just a dude like around the house welding stuff that really doesn't matter, like I could probably test that because like we built the welding cart, me and her.
Yeah.
So
it looks ugly, but it's functional.
It's ugly, but it was probably mostly ugly because I never painted it. So now it's all covered in surface rust. In fact, it's right here.
You didn't even care to like sand down these edges.
Yeah, here we're gonna flip around here. Yeah, like I didn't even care. Like I didn't grind down. And this was like the very first thing we made too. So the welds are really bad.
Yeah, ugly welds, not ground down.
Ugly welds, not these. They think these were Sarah's welds. They don't look too bad. I ground down. These were the very first ones that I did. I ground them right down.
And they just didn't bother with it.
And I didn't bother. I got up here like, who cares, really? But now it's
metal.
It's bare metal. I do have bead rolling stuff on here, but you can't see it. It's under there. But look, it still works. Like I made the thing, right?
Because functionality.
It still works. Yeah, and this one doesn't have a leg there. So if I stand on here, it doesn't collapse. I don't die. Whoa, we got a super chat.
Oh my goodness.
David Rich, hello. Toward a new circular saw. Oh well, thank you very much. Maybe I will go get a circular saw.
That's so nice.
Thank you very much. I did not expect that. You are very generous. I must go get a better Actually, I'm slightly relieved because that circular saw was probably gonna kill me.
Were you scared using it?
Yeah, I was a little scared. I'm like pulling the trigger. I'm like, this isn't working. I'm thinking like, this is gonna start when I don't expect it, right? And it's just gonna chop my face right off. Do you prefer MIG or TIG? It depends. I think MIG is way easier. I mean, everyone thinks that. I can't do TIG as well, but if it's thick steel, I can do TIG pretty well, like 1/8 inch thick steel, and I like the way it looks better, and I like that it's not like showering me with sparks, and I like that it's calm. And holy crap, another one! David Myers, $20 without a message.
Thank you.
Circular saw it is. You got it. Safety third. That's right. Safety third.
Wait, what's first and second then?
I used to know this. First, it's like, can you do the job? Can you actually do it profitably? And then can you do it safe? Because if you can't do the first two, it doesn't matter if it's safe. The cheaper brand that I've had recommended by a pro welder is Everlast. Interesting. Interesting. I've heard of Everlast. Towards an upgrade. Thank you very much, Stress Master.
Wow.
$50. Well, hey, I'm going to which circular saw should I get? Someone mentioned go to Menards. I'll just go buy one then. I'll go buy one the next time I go to Menards to buy a bunch of these. I'm gonna get more of those.
Those lights.
Those lights. I need one more for this garage. First rule is to have fun. That's right. Because I'm not a business. I don't care if it's profitable. Nothing I do here is profitable. This is mostly just fun. So yeah, have fun. Can you have fun? Can you actually do the job? And then can you not kill yourself doing it? Those are going to be the three rules. So safety third.
I see.
because I need that fun to be motivated. And this is not going to let me go down. +1 on Everlast Welders. I
Huh.
have a couple of Everlast Welders are pretty good. Interesting. I did not. I don't think I looked at Everlast. I might have. I just got the Eastwood one because I had a couple of Eastwood tools and they worked, and the Eastwood one works. Then I got the AHP Alpha TIG because that was like the hot thing of the month when I got it. In fact, when I got it, they were all sold out everywhere. So I ordered it because it was like $200 cheaper than it usually was. Because I noticed when it's in stock, it's expensive. When it's out of stock, it's $200 less. I'm like, screw it, I'll just order it when it's cheaper. So I ordered it when it's cheap, and I like waited, and then eventually it came in. Our AHP has done well. Yeah, mine's done pretty well. Admittedly, I haven't used it that much. I've used the MIG welder probably triple. I mean, I've gone through a few spools and a couple of gas tanks. I have not gone through. You know, if you buy like the steel filler rod, you get like the big thick like box of it. I haven't gone through half of that box yet. So that's how little TIG welding I've done. Doing production work killed your fun. Now you're focused on one-offs. Yeah, I can see that. So I think someone recommended a thing. Chicago Electric or Harbor Freight is a good one, around $90. Has a great guard and a laser guide. Interesting. So that's for a circular saw. Laser guide. Interesting. When that circular saw was made, I don't think lasers were in much of anything because it's from the past. Like I said Soviet era as a joke, but the Soviet Union literally was in its prime when that thing was built.
It's that old?
It's that old. It is probably from the 70s. At the latest, it's early 80s. So I guess Soviet Union wasn't in its prime in the late 80s.
You
or
said
early
your
80s,
dad
but
gave it to you, right?
My dad gave
He
it to me.
tends to give you really old things.
My dad has a lot of really old stuff,
Really
but
old
they
things.
work. They work. All of them work. I have the Harbor Freight one that works great for the price. Okay, Harbor Freight sounds good. Not a welder doing production work. Definitely would rather be doing something that's not production work. Yeah, repetitive. That kind of kills it.
Yeah.
I think it kind of kills it because I know they're production. They're like craft production people who say mindless production work produces the best things, but those are like kind of artsy, the artsy end of craft production work. And even then, they're like, yeah, no, 90% of them are just production crap, but like a few of them end up being like perfect. Not meaning like machine perfection, but like handmade kind of perfection. It's complicated. You know, I do have to go to Harbor Freight. Remember back, this was like 2 years ago when they had all of those jack stands that were falling and crushing people under cars because they were failing.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 of those jack stands. They're recalled, so I got to take them back and say like, hey, here's some jack stands. You want to trade me for some new ones that aren't going to kill me?
Are they going to give you for free?
I think that's part of the deal. There might have been a time limit on those, but if there is, I'm just going to buy 2 new jack stands because like jack stands are cheap. Drop a link to the Evolution saw on your Discord. Thank you.
Oh.
It's a good time to recommend the Discord. Anyone who wants to join?
Yeah.
There is a Discord. Where's a good place to get a smelter burner? Tried to make one but failed. Had to make it forced air. Making it forced air isn't failing in my opinion. The burner that I made works both ways. Like it can do like copper alloys. What's the Discord? I don't have a link. There's a link to the Discord in most of the video descriptions. If Chirpy's around, he'll probably put it up there. Wasn't there like a second round of bad stands too? I don't know. I'm not certain.
No, were you keeping track?
I haven't bought any new stands since before that because like right about that time, I took the van off of those stands that was holding it up when I was under it. And I never put it back on the stands.
Because you didn't want to get
crushed. It's been on the tires ever since. There we go. Chirpy has the link.
Awesome.
I will double and triple check to make sure I don't die under jack stands. Maybe I just won't get Harbor Freight ones. I don't know. It depends on your altitude for optimum burn temps. Yeah, so a lot of people use just Harbor Freight weed burners. They work. I mean, obviously they work. Yeah, Harbor Freight weed burners. I know some people who use Harbor Freight weed burners, professional potters who get their furnaces up to 2,400 degrees, who use Harbor Freight weed burners.
Were you able to melt cast iron with forced air?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I needed forced air for cast iron. I don't need forced air for copper and copper alloys. But when I was melting anything hotter than aluminum, I would just use forced air because I am impatient. You should bail on the van project. I can't bail on the van project.
No. No, he's gonna finish it.
You might be missing some of the sentimental value of this van.
Yeah.
And it's not just sentimental value for me; it's also for her. I don't know why, because it's a smelly old van, and it was when we met. But it was also the vehicle that we drove around all the time.
And he said he's gonna finish it before he turns 40.
I said I hope I finish it before I turn 40.
Do you have any tips for a new metalsmith?
New metalsmith. Yes. Well, what kind of metalsmith are you talking about? Are you talking forging? If you want forging tips, I'm the wrong person to ask because I've forged like 6 things total ever, and I'm no good at it. Sheet metal. I've done slightly more sheet metal, not a lot of sheet metal. Metal casting. I'll just say right off, completely forget using charcoal and coal. Go straight to propane. That was the biggest thing that helped me. What else? Read some books. Get some books on it. C.W. Ammon makes some good books. The Gingery book, the first part is talks about metal casting. The Gingery book is a little bit rudimentary. I probably wouldn't use that. I would probably use the C.W. Ammon books. Complete Guide to Sand Casting. He has other ones. Something about metal casting that aren't all sand casting, but definitely that. Was the van still driving 9 months before your first child was born? Yeah.
Yeah.
That van was still driving well after our second child was born.
Was it?
Yeah. Because our second child was born about when we moved into that last house.
Oh, yeah.
And I drove this thing around for like 2 years after we did that.
Don't answer
Don't
that.
answer that. It was driving. It was not rocking. We'll say, although my parents got that thing probably roughly 9 months before I was born. I don't want to think about that too hard. Actually, they got it like 2 years before I was born.
Very old.
But it was turned into this like cruising, like old people camper van about a year before I was born. And the couch is still in there. The thing that folds into a bed, that's been in there 100% of the time. I've never taken it out. It was even in there loose when it was towed over here in the rain, which is kind of gross. Depends on what type of metalworking you want to do. Yes. What next project are you looking forward to the most? Interesting question. So I'm really looking forward to laying out this garage because it looks like a filth hole right now. You would make a good hippie. I got the van. Got the van with the ponytail already. I don't smell like a hippie. And I do 0 drugs. So that's something. I'm really excited of getting this place together, and then I'm actually really excited to like set up a bunch of stuff inside the house that I might not make any videos on, because like the house is very nice, but it's also like all 15-20 years old, and the previous owners had very nice professional work done everywhere, not to our taste. It's very good. They documented everything.
Yeah.
And it's all really nice professional work, and the colors, I don't like the colors. And the layout of things, like, I don't really like that. Wow, they actually got it converted after buying it. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
because it was originally a work
So
truck.
it was originally a panel van. Well, actually, so when companies would make conversions, they would buy incomplete vehicles from Ford. You don't know the backstory of the van. Okay. My parents bought this as an incomplete vehicle. So if you look at the thing here, it says incomplete vehicle manufactured by Ford, and has all the stuff on the data. So they bought a van with no interior, not a panel work van, but it didn't even have a seat. There were no seats at all, because if the conversion companies get it, first thing to do, throw out the crap Ford seats. So what my dad had to do was buy a Ford seat and stick it in there so he could drive it home. But he bought it as like a panel van, not even a steering wheel. Yeah, I think it had a steering wheel. It was a panel van that you couldn't use as a work truck. And he used it as a work truck for like 3 months because he was waiting to like get the place in, like where they were going to do the conversion. And he bought a seat, and that's the seat that I have. Well, I don't think it's here, but I have an old Ford seat.
Yeah.
The one Ford van seat is the one he bought to stick in there. He drove it for a little while, said it sucked as a work truck, just garbage as a work truck, because the turning radius horrible, and it has like highway gears in the back, so low end, no power. And they took it to a place that did automobile like custom vehicles. That's still around actually, and had them custom build it exactly the way my parents wanted it, which included like the place didn't do the like nice fabric, so my parents went out and bought like rolls of automotive upholstery fabric that was like the one they wanted, and like took it to the place and then picked all the colors. It's got 5 colors on it.
All shades of brown.
All brown, 5 shades of brown, all painted on, hand masked and painted on, and like tons of like thick oak wood, tons of like solid oak wood, and it weighed just tons more than it should have. And they could not drive it after that. Like full speed was about 75. It wouldn't break 75.
It was very heavy with all that wood.
Big Stack from Western Australia. Yes, Big Stack from Western Australia. He melts tons more than he probably melts more in like a month than I've done all the time I've been doing it, because I haven't melted anything at all in 2 years, at all. So they used it, and it was our road trip van growing up, and then we were towing a camper with that van, and the camper was way too heavy, way too. So the thing has like has like a load capacity of like 1,800 pounds, a half ton, and the trailer was like 5,000, so it wouldn't move. So they put it, there's a class 5 hitch, and you just like floored it 100% of the time. Didn't work. So then they hopped it up. So Windsor 302, they hopped it up, tons more power, and then continued flooring it. And then they got a bigger trailer. And anyway, so by the time I got it, this van is completely shot, like 150,000 miles of foot right to the floor. And the paint on the hood is all cracked because the engine's overheating constantly. And then I got it, and I drove it foot to the floor like all the time. I drove it all the way through college. Then I drove it all the way through graduate school. And then in New York, drove it. I mean, I had like another car that was like pretty new, but I didn't drive that a lot. And then we drove it all the way back here. And then I decided I want to do a car project. This van is sitting around. I'm not using it anymore, so I ripped it apart. Yep. How did you manage having a third conception of the van out of order? Sometimes you have to make sacrifices and try really hard with the situation you're given. Okay? Sometimes you just have to make it work. Every project takes at least 3 times longer than you'd think, says Stress Master. So, does anyone watch Project Binky? Project Bad Obsession Motorsports, Project Binky? Those dudes can build a car. That is awesome. So it's a several year long project. They're putting a Celica GT4 drivetrain and suspension in an old Mini. If you go back and watch from the beginning, in like the first or second episode, they actually say the words, when Binky is done next year, we will take it to the track. Next year. It's not done now. And this video is like 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Recommend starting to smelt aluminum. Yes. Do aluminum. I actually wouldn't suggest cans, because if you're just melting stuff, melt whatever. But if you're going to try casting anything, don't use cans. Start with metal that's already cast aluminum. Like a thing made of aluminum that is cast, because it's the right alloy. For example, cast aluminum wheels, not forged wheels. That guy mentioned wheels right there. Or even other stuff that is cast aluminum. I don't have an example handy. 8 years, last video is driven. Yeah, see? 8 years, they're just driving it. In the beginning, They said when we're driving it next year. So they're 7 years late.
Wow.
They also are crazy making like a full streetcar with power window. Yeah, so they're also going a little bit overboard on the details, and it's like a glorious work of art that will define our generation. But still, like 8 years, and they're doing it like in their spare time, because they both have like jobs of building other people's cars that are actually paying them. Don't mess with cans or extruded stuff. Yeah, junk for casting. I keep my ingots of cast aluminum and extruded aluminum separate. I use the extruded aluminum stuff when I'm doing alloying because it's more pure. But as on its own, it's terrible.
Do you also get aluminum from like that washer parts?
Yeah, the aluminum from the washer parts, the shell of the dryer motor is cast aluminum.
Oh, okay.
I don't have the shells around, but I have what's inside the shell, This is what's left. These are varnished copper wires. I do not melt those because it burns off the varnish and just smells terrible. I got to get rid of all those too. They said it'll be done by next year, maybe. Yeah. So it'll be a 9-year project that they thought was going to be 1.
Wow.
And there are 2 guys working on it, a lot more than I am, and they have a lot more skill.
Did they have like other stuff they were working on, or
Yeah, this is their side. This is like their weekend project.
Oh, okay.
Because like they run a shop that builds race cars for customers, and this is like
okay.
one of the 2 guys. It's like his personal car project, and they must put just a fortune into the editing and everything because it's like this voiceover, and they make like jokes and like all this stuff. It adds so it's got to be like 10 times more editing work than it is actual work on the car. It's just crazy. Go to the local scrapyard. You can find extruded aluminum for alloys, cast aluminum for stuff. Needing structure pretty cheap by the pound. Yeah, there you go. Just be warned, scrapyards around here almost a guaranteed nail in the tire. So use someone else's truck. Have you tried magnesium? No, I have not tried magnesium. If you melt copper windings up really tight, they melt pretty easily. Well, I'm more worried about the varnish. Sorry for spelling, went from coffee to whiskey. No problem. Aluminum's light. Just park and walk in.
Oh,
yeah,
the scrapyard.
The scrapyard. That's a good point. You can just walk in and pick it up. Last time we were at the scrapyard, I didn't see cast aluminum wheels laying around. I saw like a mountain, literal mountain of extrusions, and a mountain of sheet aluminum, a lot of which, I think, no. You could like tell what it was. Like there was a mountain of sheet aluminum, and on top of it was like an aluminum boat, like upside down, like a fishing boat without the motor.
Interesting.
Have you ever been to NHRA drag event? No, I have not. You can feel the engine compression in your chest. I bet. If you ask the worker, they pile in a different place.
Oh.
Maybe next time we take a trailer load of dead appliances, because they do it by like weight of your truck. You go in, they weigh your truck. You go in, drop off your junk, go out. They weigh your truck and trailer on the way out, and they do like the difference for general scrap. So if we just like dump a bunch of like these copper motors, and then just like throw in a bunch of aluminum wheels, would that work? Because like copper by the pound costs more than aluminum anyway, right? Doesn't really smell that bad as long as you melt out in the open. Yeah, I'm not sure how much my new neighbors are going to be cool with that. I might have to do the melting in here.
Are you really that concerned?
Kind of.
Because I didn't think you were really thinking about that in our old neighbor.
Well, the old house was set up differently. The neighbors couldn't see what I was doing, except the people across the street. And Steve was cool, so I don't have to worry about it.
What, like, did he actually say he was cool about it?
I don't know. He didn't confront me about it. Magnesium is lighter. Use a toilet plunger with wet paper towel to steam it into a plaster mold. Magnesium is light. It's very flammable. I really don't. I've heard of people like destroying their furnaces with magnesium, so I just don't want to mess with that. Small scale in the building, so you don't need to go on the big scale. Interesting. Cook turn black. You can toss in the crucible, and there's no smell. So you can cook. You can like cook the windings. So if I chop it all off, bake them until they're black, and then dump them in the copper. You don't want to mess with magnesium. Yeah. Myford Boy has some great casting videos. He does. I borrowed heavily from his crucible tongs when I made my crucible tongs, if you remember. I think that video where I was designing my crucible tongs, I had several freeze frames of Myford Boy's crucible tongs. Hello, everyone. Roy, Christ Under Nine Works. Hello.
Hello.
I stopped by his stream the other day.
Yes.
He mentioned if you had $1 million, he would shill anything naked. And I said, if you split the million with me, I'll take my pants off right now. I didn't say that. I said something else that was less clever. Get a kiddie pool sitting with your underwear in front yard. Neighbors like, there you go. Put them in the grill to burn the resin. There you go. Yeah. So I just throw them in the grill and just like let the steam. So like the neighbors are like cooking the smell of hamburgers, and mine's the smell of varnish and copper. Yeah, I'm sure that won't anger anybody. Although our backyard now is fenced in, so no one can see what I'm doing. There's no way to get my furnace back there. I would have to carry it, and it's way too heavy.
You could. I mean, there's a gate there.
There's a gate, and there's like cobblestone, but try wheeling like little metal wheels across cobblestone. Not worth it. But Roy, how's it going? He was making hardy tools on his stream. If someone asks about metalsmithing, if it's forging, ask that guy. Don't ask me tips for forging. Ask that guy. Christ Centered Ironworks. We're gonna get to that sooner or later. Yep. I'm serious. $500,000 cash. My pants come right off right now. I won't even wear them on the drive over.
Catch your neighbors a spear for a present.
They'll never bother you again. Here, I made you a Christmas present. It's weaponry. Thought of putting a cast iron pan on top of the casting furnace purely for meme's sake. Yeah, I was gonna try that, and then I was like, I threw on. What did I do? I had an extra pan that I threw in one of the pottery furnace kilns when I was trying them out, and I didn't realize it wasn't steel. It was actually cast aluminum, and it just melted into the bottom. Like, whoops!
Oh,
My bad. And those like the two rivets that hold the handle on. They're still like there, like in the puddles.
as if he wears.
As if he wears pants. Like, yeah, you don't know. You can't see. I could be completely pantsless. I could be wearing one of my kilts. Something Roy refuses to wear. I have two of them. Get with the pro. I have two of them. Tuan from Warp Legacy, he has a kilt. Where's your kilt, Roy? Huh?
And you have an authentic.
I have a real one.
100% wool.
I have a cheapo one, and then I have a real one made in Scotland by my mom's family.
Wait, isn't wool like fire retardant? Right.
Wool is fire retardant. Yes.
You could wear that for
So
welding.
and they're really thick. Real kilts, they're really thick. They weigh like 5
You
pounds.
should wear that
It's
for
all
foundry
fire
work.
retardant welding capable wool.
You should wear that then.
As long as the sparks don't hit you in the shins, because then it'll just burn. But it goes over the front. It covers the important part. Can't melt inside of your place anyhow. So when I did melt a bunch of times aluminum at the old house in the garage. And I did that usually because that was like before I put wheels on the thing. It was such a pain to get it outside, or it was really cold or something. And if I had the garage door open, sometimes I had a fan blowing. Like I'd have say I'd have a furnace here, have the garage door open over there, and over here I have a big fan blowing up. So it's not blowing here, it's blowing up. And it's basically the hot air is rising and the fan just kind of blows it. And I had the laser thermometer hit the ceiling, and the ceiling never got above 115. And I figured if the garage wasn't insulated, wasn't attached, and it was really hot and the sun was beating on it, it would be hotter than 115. So I thought I'd be okay. But if the thing is, if I run like the burner, like the forced air, and it just blasts the heat, there's like a tower of flames coming out when I do forced air. That's going to heat the ceiling up too much. Been great. Gotta get some fleet. Thank you for coming, John McCann.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming to many of these live streams.
Yeah.
You're a very loyal viewer. Get a carbon monoxide detector, you should be okay, worth the $45. I have a carbon monoxide detector. I actually have a carbon monoxide meter, so I can get parts per million. Cool, proper traditional kilts. Is not a fan of the pleated miniskirt kind of the pockets that everyone. You mean the Utila kilts? I don't have one of those. I do not have a Utila kilt. I wouldn't mind one, but I have like the authentic, like with the integral like belts and the really deep pleats, and it's like just insanely scratchy.
Like one he could actually wear in the winter.
Yeah, they're surprisingly warm because it's like that thick of like layers of wool back and forth. And yeah, it's
really heavy.
It's a little too heavy though. It's like I don't know what the equivalent would be. Like, do you wear like lead shorts or something? It just like weighs you down. But it's very scratchy too. Very scratchy. Kelly Caulfield was really great on foam casting and best in cast equipment I've ever seen. From a dryer, from a DIYer, I have never done lost foam casting.
You had done like lost PLU or something.
I've tried lost PLA. That's a little different from lost foam.
Okay.
Because you burn the PLA out.
Uh-huh.
I only tried a couple times. I wasn't very good at it. I didn't have a good furnace to do it, although now I do. So I should revisit that. But lost foam, usually leave the foam in there and just pour the metal straight in.
And it melts the foam.
And it melts the foam.
Right?
Yep. Stick with my fire chaps. Yeah. I think your fire chaps are probably a little safer. Just a little bit. Check Steve Astor-T82 for lost foam casting. Yeah, I've never tried that. I've never tried lost foam casting. It's an interesting thing. I might try that. I might not try that before I try lost PLA again. and I'll probably try ceramic shell lost wax before I do anything else. Lost PLA is more like lost wax casting than lost foam. Yeah, there you go. It's more like lost wax. I think I'm probably going to try, if anything, ceramic shell lost wax before I go to lost foam. Because I never like the look of lost foam cast parts. It's like you can see the foam. Like that texture.
Oh, the foam texture?
Yeah. You need to get a vacuum table. You can do plaster, lost PLA, or foam casting if you want detail. A vacuum table would be pretty sweet. Or possibly lost PLA. And same way as lost foam, doing it like a vase. Made hollow print. I don't know, maybe. I think the enamel and the motor windings stink. You've never done lost foam. Yeah, that's the other thing. I really don't want the stink of lost foam. He's on the Home Foundry forum. Is that like Alloy Avenue? Is that like a new Alloy Avenue? Okay, folks, take care. Okay, thanks for stopping by, Roy. Somebody asked, who's Roy? Christ Centered Ironworks is Roy. He is a blacksmith, a very good blacksmith. Does a lot of streams and videos. I would say for all blacksmith, and go check him out. Unless you like swords, because he doesn't do those. Of course, who uses a sword really? Like, I'm not going to be attacked by a knight or like, I don't know, bandits, and I have to defend myself with a long sword. But thanks for stopping by, Roy. We should probably go in too, because it's like, what time is it?
It's 11:30.
It's 11:30.
Or something.
And I still have more unpacking. AA is gone. Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard it's gone. I didn't know if there was a new one. The Home Foundry became kind of the replacement. I might have to check that out. Alloy Avenue was pretty cool back in the day. I heard the moderator just like isn't around and it broke or something.
Yeah.
Your mom plays the bagpipes.
Wow.
That would be pretty cool. You made a hammer out of aluminum gold, didn't you? I made it's a hammer out of aluminum bronze. I do not know where it is.
But yes, he did. It was aluminum bronze, though.
It was very ugly because I didn't know how to do gating back then. That spear I was using. This I had a little better gating system. So if you notice, like, if we get up the detail, you can see the ridges. Those ridges are actually print layer lines that transferred from the 3D print into the casting. And there's no holes or nothing in there. I got it all came out really, really nice. The hammer's got big holes all over it because I just basically dumped the metal in. It looks terrible. Aluminum bronze looks like gold. Yeah. And this alloy is awesome too. I really like this alloy.
Yeah, this one I think he purposely like touched it.
Yeah, I like move my hands all over. You want to see what it would do. Like, yeah, it didn't end up looking cool. But the alloy is really tough. Like, I've just jammed this into so many things as hard as I can, and it's still really pointy. It's not super pointy. It was never super pointy.
You kind of sharpened it though, didn't you?
I kind of sharpened it, but I've also been like scraping it along things, and like ripping things open with it. Need a new speed dial cover for the Bridgeport, and I don't want a stock plastic one. Interesting. So is it like a thin, like a sheet kind of thing? Mods are trying to keep it afloat till the thing had server issues, and that was the end of it. Yeah, if you don't have the mod, you don't have the admin, and something broke. Wish you the best of with your baby. Thank you. Thank you. Very, very soon. And I'm gonna stop flailing this around in front of the baby. So a cover for something is probably a thin sheet. Are you sure a thin sheet, like say an English wheeled large sheet, wouldn't work better? I don't know what kind of thing you're talking about. So maybe a casting project would work for that. I do not know. Rub machinable wax in the 3D printer lines, make them disappear. Interesting idea. Would be cool to see a video about considerations to keep in mind while setting up gating. I think I have one somewhere. I think the thumbnail of it is three hammerheads. And I tried different. I don't remember, but I kind of also would like it's kind of like top of electrical box type of shape. Okay. Because there's one thing C.W. Ammon said in his book, and it's don't try to cast sheet. So if you're trying to build something in sheet metal's probably better, use sheet metal. If casting is better, cast it. Although you can cast a lot of those things, like those the cover at the top of those like KitchenAid dispenser things. I think that's a solid piece of cast zinc. But zinc casts very easily for that sort of thing.
Mm.
Maybe it would be worth making one, trying it with zinc. What about dipping in really hot wax, melted Vaseline? I mean, there's plenty of things you can do to get rid of layer lines. I could have just used sandpaper, but I was lazy. A good example of what you use 3D printer to make dies for and a hydraulic press. There's so many things you can do with a hydraulic press. It's insane. Like it just blows my mind. I don't have one though. It's not a sheet to post a picture somewhere. Okay, good idea. Now, if only I had a 3D scanner. Could scan one, then print out a pattern, and then cast that. What do 3D scanners run for? Are they still like thousands of dollars for a decent one?
I don't know.
I don't know. Want a hydraulic press so bad? Yeah, me too. Hydraulic presses are really cool. Even those like cheapo ones, where it's just like the crappy Harbor frame thing. You can still do so much cool stuff with that, and a little bit of creativity. Like I saw one video where a guy was making molds, and then he showed like you have the mold, you have the sheet, and then you put like the strips of like random rubber and just like down, and then it looked like a factory stamped part. Looked really cool. Build your own scrap metal. You can use camera with lots of pictures. Yeah, I guess I have tried that. I just haven't had a lot of success because you end up with a mesh model, a mesh, 3D mesh, and I don't know how to do mesh modeling in Fusion or in anything. I was trying to think about a way to account for shrinkage. Probably just recreating a CAD from scratch, print a pattern. Even if you make the CAD model perfect to size, don't worry about shrinkage. Make it to size. You can take it and in the slicer, the 3D print slicer, set it to print at 103% or whatever. Find whatever metal it is you want in it, zinc. Find whatever the shrinkage rate of zinc is, multiply, your pattern by that size, make it bigger, and then just print it, cast that, it'll shrink to size. It won't be perfect. It's never perfect, but you'll get close. You should cast a bronze bell. I could. Thought you just crush watermelons and Play-Doh with a press and posted videos. Yeah, there you go. That's one thing you can do with them if you want to make your money back, I think. Bronze bell. SW Dweeb has done a bunch of bells, I think. I haven't done a single one. I don't know. I don't really need a bell. Have you tried compressed air to force aluminum from the bottom up? I have not tried that. I think I've seen people use forced air. Or those big spinning things. So you're using centrifugal force to force the aluminum in. Never tried them though. Lots of pros on how to use your camera as a scanner. Anyone hear from SW Dweeb lately? I have not, personally. Asking to spray molten metal everywhere? Yeah, that seems a bit risky. I just use gravity. And now the last things I did, I think I would set the gating up so that there was like a feeder, or there was it would bypass, and then there was that spin trap, and then once the metal got in there, back a ways, it would fill up from bottom up. Always fill the pattern up from the bottom up. And that seemed to help. I didn't get any more bubbles in there. Although that silver sword I did had one big bubble in one spot, and it really made me upset. It's like, this thing is like $2,000 worth of silver, and there's one flaw, one bubble in it. Should I use a camera instead of a scanner? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it can be done. Not happened yet. 3 air filters. So it's getting pretty late. I think I'm gonna go. So I use a vacuum table, suck the metal tight against the walls. That might be better. I was thinking of getting a vacuum, like a vacuum former table. Build one of those. That would be cool. So we're gonna go because we've been streaming an hour and 20 minutes, and I have to work in the morning. So thank you all for stopping by. And we shall see you next time.
Yes.
I love how I always have a plan to do these things. And then I do the plan for like 20 minutes. And then we just talk about random stuff the rest of the time for like an hour. Good luck on the French cleats. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a good night. We shall see you later. And I'll have to go buy a circular saw now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. See you later.
Bye-bye.